Next, I would like to introduce our next keynote speaker, Assemblymember Robert Rivas. He represents District 30, which encompasses San Benito County and the Pajaro Valley. Assemblymember Rivas has co-authored California's Green New Deal and introduced legislation to support and protect farm workers from COVID-19. So I'm really excited to hear what he has to share with us. So can I invite Assemblymember Rivas?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, fantastic. Well, it's been a painfully long day here at the Capitol. I've had a couple bills I've had to present in committee. I'm still waiting to present our priority bill, which is Assembly Bill 2043, our Farm Worker COVID-19 Health and Safety Act. Hopefully we'll get a chance to present it tonight. If not, I guess I'll get bumped to next week. But I really appreciate the opportunity to join you all, appreciate the invitation. Always, good time as I hopped on the call, was able to see the demonstration in the field. I think that, these are unique times and circumstances, but really appreciate the opportunity to learn about these important issues. But certainly, in trying to prepare, I have had little time to prepare for this keynote address. And so it's been a very busy time here in Sacramento at the state capitol. But certainly all the work you guys do, all of your advocacy, it makes a huge difference. And when it comes to our environment, issues of protection, sustainability, issues of environmental justice, the truth is, it doesn't matter if you're from California, you're from Texas, whether you're in the United States or you're in India. When it comes to environmental issues, the bottom line is that we can do better. And clearly we must do better as a state, as a country, and certainly as a world. Prior to our current COVID-19 public health crisis, I was proud to join some of my legislative colleagues this year in early January when we returned to Sacramento to introduce a California New Deal. And it was our attempt to put California on a path to a sustainable future. And we have long known that climate change right now has made, has been made worse by outdated policies here in our own state, here in California. Here in our state, we are seeing the effects of these policies of man-made climate change year after year. From terrifying wildfires to floods, to record heat waves and devastating droughts. And as we all know, climate change, it costs lives and it costs billions and billions of dollars in damage. And so certainly these impacts, they disproportionately impact our low income and minority parts of the state and our communities. And having grown up in rural California in the beautiful Central Coast, I can tell you that our rural parts of the state, our communities, are truly on the front lines when it comes to climate change, when it comes to the negative impacts of our changing climate. Record heat waves threaten the health of our farm workers. While drought has shortened the growing seasons for agriculture. And as a result, that threatens our entire agricultural way of life. That is our region, the lifeblood of our local economy. And certainly it's a threat to our future food supply. Here in California, I know that we are considered a leader on climate change, but one can seriously argue that the policies our state has enacted in the past, they're very short-sighted. They don't go far enough. And I can say that a lot of the policies, environmental policies from the past and recent ones, that they're more like a red herring that allow corporations and our political leaders to avoid the real issue when it comes to climate change and addressing climate change. And that real issue being that that only large-scale action, very bold action, can significantly reduce carbon emissions in our state. I think, as I've said many times, I like to quote something I heard at a conference I was at. Alden Meyer, who's with the Union of Concerned Scientists, I believe he said it best. He said that never have I seen such a disconnect between what the science requires and what most of our advanced countries are doing and delivering in terms of meaningful climate action. Meaningful climate action. And so having been actively involved in climate change issues since 2011, when I was a member of the Board of Supervisors in San Benito County, you know, I have not seen the mass mobilization, the importance, the urgency of activating around this issue as I see right now and today, and the enthusiasm and you know, people really stepping forward to champion these environmental issues. People who are saying that, you know, they're not going to accept the way things were done in the past, how it's time for us to think very differently, for us to think very differently about water usage and storage, about housing, how we develop resilient, healthy communities. What about transportation? You know, how can we maximize our existing infrastructure, improve our mobility in our region, improve traffic flow issues? We are a region where you know, the congestion has become a huge source of problem, and it's a huge source of pollution as well. You know, how can we become less dependent on cars, on vehicles moving into the future, which is our #1 source of the pollution and a contributor of our carbon emissions? You know, what about agriculture? How can we maximize the one proven and cost-effective method of pulling carbon directly from the atmosphere and storing it in our soils or vegetation? You know, and you know, clearly we need to do a much better job of addressing issues of environmental justice. I feel very passionate about these issues around environmental justice because too frequently our lower income communities, our communities of color, they experience far greater impacts from pollution, from toxic contamination, and the effects of climate change. And clearly, these issues in our communities of color occur way more often than our wealthier, more affluent areas in our state, which is unacceptable. And so certainly, you know, again, I appreciate each and every one of you. Your work inspires me to keep pushing and fighting for all of these issues. You know, and I had heard mention of Election Day. And so we are, as of right now, we are 90 days away until the November 2020 elections. And I mentioned this because the Trump presidency has been, it's been an absolute mess, but it's been a disaster for our efforts and all of the federal climate progress that we had made, you know, prior to Trump assuming office. But I think it's important to keep, you know, what we do in perspective. You know, I think it's safe to say that we all value the health of our planet, that we care for our environment. We understand that our efforts, that our advocacy, our work to advance a meaningful climate action is not just a popular movement. What we do is a scientific movement. And we care because lack of action to address our climate crisis, it threatens not only our planet and our environment, but it threatens the health and lives of millions and millions of people. And so we care and we do what we do because we want our children, we want future generations to experience the same opportunities in life as we have. And you know, certainly we want them to live in a less polluted world and enjoy the incredible natural resources that many of us take for granted each and every day. Unfortunately, as I was here today in my office the entire day. But you know, finally, as I always say, I think that it's incredibly important that we all think about climate change globally, but we must do everything we can locally, because that's the most significant progress we can make for our region, for our communities. That's why I appreciate everything you guys do. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to join you guys on this virtual call.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Rivas. It is so refreshing to hear a politician approach climate change with the urgency that we really need to see effective change. But I know that everyone in the audience will be, super effective leaders and advocates for climate policy that we need